Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today we're going to talk about my favourite Winsor & Newton watercolours. Okay, so in honour of World Watercolour Month, I thought we would do a little series of videos and I'll kind of highlight my top favourite watercolours from 4 different brands. So this video we're going to work on Winsor & Newton, and then we'll also do Holbein, Schmincke and Daniel Smith in some upcoming videos. So I'll see how I'll go. I'll maybe try and get out 2 videos in the next 2 weeks each, but yeah, so these are the ones that I wanted to highlight from the Winsor & Newton range. I have done a video, I think quite a while ago, where we swatched the Winsor & Newton dot sheet, if I'm not mistaken. So, but because there's so many watercolours available, I really do like to kind of tone it down to exactly my very favourites from each range. And what I'm going to highlight are ones that I return to over and over and over. They're some of my go-tos and I really love them, and we'll talk a little bit about different reasons why. So yeah. Okay, so this first one is the Winsor & Newton Cadmium Free Lemon Yellow. I love lemon yellow. I'll show you. I mix it with some of my neutrals to get a warmer yellow when I want to, but it's nice to have kind of start with that clear yellow, and I like to stay away from cadmiums when I can because they're so toxic. It is a little bit more expensive, but the tube will last you a long time. This is a very highly saturated color, so you do not need very much of it. Okay, this next one is one of my favorites. This is the Winsor & Newton Potter's Pink. This is a nice version because it re-wets easily, but also Roman Schmaltz has a really beautiful version. Okay, so 2 of my favorite ways to use this color are, the first one we saw is just with lots and lots of water to make a really soft pink. And the next way is to mix it with white. You can see there the colour at full strength, but then mixing it with white gives you this really dusty rose colour. And you can see here that when you water it right down, you can make a beautiful powder pink kind of ground to work into. You could also use it to kind of pre-prime your pages and let it dry and then work over it, and you'll have a really beautiful soft colouring underneath. I'll talk about Davys Grey in a minute and how I used it to make a grisaille underpainting, and I think that this Potter's Pink, very watered down, would also make a beautiful grisaille style underpainting. So the next one is Cobalt Violet. And again, this one re-wets really well. So Cobalt Violet is a pretty difficult one to re-wet, and I've tried quite a few different brands, and I find this one, even though you need to put some water on it and let it activate, it still will give you that colour payoff once you do that. And we'll go over some mixes again for this in a minute, but yeah, it's just a beautiful granulating colour, so it gives you a lot of kind of energy and texture in your mixes and in your paintings, as well as just that beautiful vibrant colour. And you can see here I'm mixing it with the next one. So the next one is the Ultramarine Ash. This is a new colour you guys told me about. And you can see how even a smidgen of that Cobalt Violet just livens up the Ultramarine Ash. So the one that we're doing now is the Winsor & Newton Davys Grey. I have a whole video about this. It's an older video, so I do apologise if the music at the beginning is too loud. I think one of the hardest things on YouTube is to figure out the sound. And it might sound fine when I'm editing in iMovie, but then when I put it onto YouTube, it's not. So the last one here is Smalt. And I'm also mixing a little bit of the Cobalt Violet into this, and you get this really beautiful kind of intense purpley colour. Also, let me know if I try and compensate for that now and like turn the music down. I don't know if it's too low now or if it's all right, so you guys can let me know. But so we're going to follow along a little bit from the video that we did last week, or the last video. I tried to get this up for the weekend, but I just have not had a chance. But yeah, this one is just some kind of indigo and silvery gold swatches that we did, and I feel like the Ultramarine Ash and the Davys Grey also plug into this colour scheme really beautifully. One of my favourite ways to mix anything is with pearl white. So we're going to put a little bit of pearl white on here. We'll do a few different kind of puddles of pearl white, and then we will mix some of these with this. The Davys Grey and pearl white, I make a colour with jade and like a pearlescent white pigment. And so when I say pearl white, I mean the Daniel Smith pearlescent white, but I think several companies do that now. But yeah, this is, I think, the closest commercial thing you can get to it, the Davys Grey and the pearl white. And then this one, the Ultramarine Ash and the pearl white also make this really beautiful kind of soft powdery shimmer. The Smalt with the pearl white also gives you a really beautiful, kind of a more vibrant shimmer colour. It's got like a little bit more of that kind of sapphire undertone. The Smalt in general is kind of a purple leaning blue, and we'll look at that a little bit more later on in the video. This one is the Cobalt Violet with the pearl white. And again, you can like differ the amount of pearl white or cobalt violet that you put there. And one of the things I'm also showing you here, when I'm looking at colours and doing kind of quick colour studies or things, I will just swatch in different ways, small ways like this. You don't always have to do really large or elaborate swatches. This is one of my all-time favourite mixes. So this is Potter's Pink and Pearl White. It makes this really kind of beautiful champagne pink. And again, just doing that with more Potter's Pink and then less Potter's Pink in the mix. And then I didn't swatch it here, but I also do really love the lemon yellow with the pearl white as well. It's a really beautiful sunshiny mix. But two of my favourite ways to mix the lemon yellow when I want a warmer yellow is to mix it with the Daniel Smith Sedona, which is like my favourite type of burnt sienna, and also with the Daniel Smith French Ochre. So yeah, the French Ochre is also a very transparent kind of an ochre, which is nice, a kind of light ochre. But I also wanted to show you with the Smalt. So one of my favourite mixes, and I've been creating this for my shop, but also I just love different blues and granulating blacks. So this one is very similar to the one that I created. It's got, because the Smalt is kind of purple leaning, it gives you this really luminous kind of undertone for the granulating black. This black I'm using is the Daniel Smith Black Tourmaline, but also like a Mars black or a Lunar black. And then I tried mixing it with the white. I've been wondering about this for a while, and it makes the beautiful periwinkle colour. So this is very similar to the colour that I create and I use in my plein air palette. So you could just squeeze a little bit of the Smalt and then quite a lot of the titanium white into a half pan and mix that with like a toothpick or a bobby pin, and create your own kind of periwinkle colour. What I'm showing you here though, this is kind of the closest thing I had on hand to an ultramarine blue. So I want to just show you the difference between like the Smalt, hopefully you can see it through the camera, but the Smalt leans a little bit more purple, like it has some violet in it, where the ultramarine blue is just more of a very intense blue. And when I show you comparisons and things, neither is better or, you know, it's a colour, so it's just whatever fits in with your palette better, whatever you're kind of looking to create. But I'm just showing you here as well with the black. Again, like I love any black and blue combinations, granulating black and blue, but you can just, hopefully you can see that the undertones are slightly different. And this one here, then I'm just mixing it with the white, and hopefully you can see that this is just more of like a nice powdery blue, not with kind of the periwinkle. So yeah, it's always nice to kind of try different colours, different colour combinations, and kind of see how things work. I think this is kind of more like a cobalt or ultramarine blue, but yeah. Okay, so as an afterthought, I thought let's mix the Potter's Pink and the Cobalt Violet and see what that sort of creates. And there's this beautiful kind of muted plum colour. And then as you add more and more water, it gets softer. I actually think this would be nice with the pearl white or with titanium white again. But what I thought we'd do to kind of round off the video is take the feathers that we were painting in the last video and just kind of have like a little colour play and kind of mix and yeah, kind of create some of these colours to blend together and see how they would work together in a painting. So in the last video we were painting kind of larger feathers. I kept seeing kind of the large crow feathers and things, and in this painting I keep seeing like little fluffy furry kind of little kind of fluffy feathers. They're a little bit fuller, and so I thought it would just be nice to blend some of these colours and see how they kind of merge. And yeah, so you can see we started with the stem, and then I'm kind of building the feather around the stem, kind of leaving that little middle bit white there, and then just kind of picking colours. So I started with the more pinks and more watered down pinks. It got a little bit deeper as we go down, adding a little bit of the violets in there and some of those kind of mixes. And I found these to be really kind of a relaxing way to look at colour, look at shapes, pretty simply, pretty just, I don't know, it's kind of a nice low pressure kind of exercise. And yeah, this would be a really nice one to just sit down at the end of the day, give yourself a weekly challenge, and even you could fill a sketchbook with different feathers, but kind of focusing on the colour play. And it doesn't have to be feathers, it might be something that you're seeing or thinking about, but once you kind of have that kind of idea of painting the thing, it's nice to kind of paint different variations of it. And like here we're kind of doing a more blue-green one, we did the more purple-pink one, and then we do just a little tiny one to finish off. us know in the comments what your favorite Winsor & Newton color is, or maybe a mix you can't live without. And also, for some of you have been asking, you might have missed the shop update, I may have a little surprise for you at the end of the next video. It will just be a smaller shop update so I can kind of turn it around quickly. But yeah, hopefully there are a few things that you will enjoy. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.